Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, this afternoon, President John Dramani Mahama has reaffirmed his resolve to end the illegal mining menace, urging civil society to intensify pressure on government. He admitted mistakes in his administration's initial approach, particularly with the withdrawal of security services, but assured that under the new NIMAS framework, security deployment will be strengthened. Well, we will be bringing you highlights of that high-level engagement here on The Pulse. But first, let me take you live to the grounds and speak to my colleague Maxwell Agwagwa, who has been with us the whole day, just engaging civil society groups. Maxwell, what's the reaction to the president's declaration that he has been advised by the National Security Council to hasten slowly with the declaration of a state of emergency? How are CSOs reacting to this?
Like you mentioned, that conversation with the CSOs has ended here at the Jubilee House, and we have with us some representatives of the various organizations that were here. But I've been engaging some of them just after the president finished his speech. And of course, the biggest takeaway for a lot of the people is the president's position on the calls for a declaration of a state of emergency. The president, in his speech, wrapped up and said that as it stands now, he has not received any recommendation yet from the National Security Council on the declaration, on the need for a declaration of a state of emergency. And he said that the moment he gets that recommendation from the National Security Council, he will go ahead, he will not hesitate to declare a state of emergency. Of course, a lot has happened here in this room with various ministries and agencies bringing us up to speed on what they have been doing regarding the fight against illegal mining. And the president wrapped up all of that with his speech. And of course, like I mentioned, the biggest takeaway for a lot of people is the president's position and the government's position on the calls for a declaration of a state of emergency. The president says if the recommendation comes from the National Security Council, he will not hesitate to do that. But he says as it stands now, the National Security Council has not recommended that. I have some representatives here with me. I'm going to speak to them to find out from them what the assessment is of this engagement with the CSOs and the faith-based organization. I'll have them introduce themselves first and the institutions that they represent. Hello.
Hi, my name is Monica from Asepa.
Okay.
And having listened to the president this afternoon, I think, and I'll confidently say that he is in charge of affairs. Yes, I'll confidently say that he is in charge of affairs. And then we just have to encourage them to do more. And then also, one thing I observed is we are all looking at accountability and then going after the big wigs. But then we are also not taking into consideration those who are actually the idle youth who are into the Galamsey. The excuse they keep giving is that they have nothing to do. They are idle and staying at home. And so they rather engage in that to fend for their family and then their children or their wives. And so in tackling that, we also have to provide at least a manual job for them.
Okay.
The president earlier stated that they have consulted Anglo-Gold, Ashanti and Newmont to provide some concessions for the small-scale mining. And I think it's a laudable idea. So that will also pave way for those illegal miners to get something doing. Okay. Thank you.
Let me come to a candidate in the 2024 GJ elections. Was it 2025? The election was it this year? This year.
Oh, wow. Running too fast.
I'm running too fast.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. So which institution are you representing today?
I represent Transmedia Network,
okay,
which is a media organization and a civil society group.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot has been done. Over the period. We've seen a lot being done by the various agencies, which we think they are on course. It is now understandable why the declaration of the state of emergency has to be on hold for now, because the team, they are doing a lot of work. I think that going forward, once these strategies are continued, coupled with livelihood, sustainable livelihood issues at the community level to address the issues of bread and butter, we are good to go.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back to you, but let me have my good friend also introduce himself. Long time.
Thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good.
Okay, yeah. So tell us about the institution you're representing today.
Right, my name is Kokode-Nwamase. I work with Media Foundation for West Africa in charge of a program called Media for Peace and Social Cohesion.
Yeah. Could you tell me, are you satisfied with what you've heard so far?
On the balance sheet, I would say this is a baseline for us to stand on it to monitor the progress that will be made in the coming months. If we have to go to years, we say in the coming years. We see some level of commitment from the president and his team, but I would say that commitment for me is not still enough. We need more commitment in terms of implementing this presentation that she has made to Ghanaians today. The bottom line is enforcement. He says from strategic and intelligent point of view, it is still premature to declare a state of emergency.
Yeah.
We take that in terms of security angle, but we also be interested for the president to be telling us frequently what the state of affairs in terms of progress that we are making. So the bottom line is, how do we get more committed in enforcing the laws? How do you streamline the institutions that are responsible to eradicating the threat of illegal mining? How do you ensure that communities are getting more involved in terms of advocacy, in terms of participation, in terms of surveillance from institutions that matter to ensure that we can really deal with it? One of the issues that is of concern to what other foundation is that we noted that still there are politically exposed persons in illegal mining. The work that was recently published by the Fourth Estate indicate clearly that we noticed that some party boys, party girls, party foot soldiers, and even kingpins are really involved in illegal mining. And therefore, we expect the government to be more committed to dealing with both actors. Here, when I say actors, I'm referring to party foot soldiers in the current government and then former government, to ensure that we can really deal with those kingpins in the fight against illegal mining. We noticed that Galamsey, or illegal mining, has transitioned into crime networks. Currently, the report that we have on my table indicates elements of trafficking, elements of use of arms without authority by people who are using that to protect their concessions. We notice sexual trafficking, human trafficking from the neighboring countries, illegal enclave. And therefore, this is a major concern when it comes to social cohesion and threats to peace of communities. And therefore, we are expecting the government to be more at it with this presentation in terms of implementing the solution spectrum that they have presented to us this afternoon.
Okay. So you are happy with the call on the declaration of the state of emergency? You're okay, but you just want progress reports
from security
on
point
how
of,
we're going with the fight.
From security point of view, I'm sure the president will not just come out and declare a state of emergency without not necessarily relying on the intelligence from the security point of view, because he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and therefore he must be properly advised on the next step when it comes to declaring a state of emergency, which is declared in Article 31 of the Constitution. Therefore, he assured Ghanaians that when there's the need for him to do so, he will not hesitate to do that, and therefore we hold him to that commitment and that responsibility.
Okay. 30 seconds before I come to Mr. Mousy. I want to find out from you what you also make of the Attorney General's promise that we're going to see complete revocation of the LI 2462, which has also been quite topical. Although some aspect of it is gone, there have been calls for complete revocation. And now the Attorney General is promising us that in some days to come, a new bill is going to be, a new LI is going to be introduced, in Parliament. Are you impressed with that as well?
What I read on a slide was that he is revoking 2642 and amending it into a new bill that he described 2501. We are not yet privy to the content of that new bill and what it seeks to do when it comes to addressing the fight illegal mining. So we will still be waiting to see how 14th October, when they table before Parliament, what will be the content of that bill. But I'm quite optimistic that that bill would deal with some of the threats and the ill that we are facing with when it comes to illegal mining.
So are you optimistic that we will see a complete revocation of LI 2462? Because a lot of CSOs have been calling for that, complete and total revocation.
Because there's going to be a repealing law, which is the 2501 asset bill, we have to still wait to see the content.
Okay.
Right, it is too premature to judge that bill because it's still a bill in process, and we want to know whether there will be even bipartisan consensus on the bill in terms of both minority and majority buying into the bill based on the content. It is that level that we can really measure our level of optimism when it comes to the bill.
Okay. Thank you for talking to us, Kojo Imprim.
Thank you, my brother.
It's a pleasure always talking to you. You just had Kojo Imprim of the Media Foundation for West Africa. I still have the 2024 GJA candidate, GJA president, presidential candidate here with me, Mr. Mapsi. I want to find out from you. I was just asking him whether he was satisfied with the president's statement on the calls for a declaration of a state of emergency. Quite a number of people who had opportunities to speak were saying that we should slow down on that. But we've also heard the loud calls, both on mainstream media and social media. A lot of people calling for the declaration of a state of emergency. The Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference also made that call. I want to find out from you, just opposing, this divided opinions. What do you make of the president's call?
Max, you see, the issue is the steps that are being taken are yielding results. It is clear from the presentation the legal steps are working, the things that they are doing from the legal front, the licensing of excavator and all that, they are yielding results. So once these things are yielding results, we just have to continue doing what we are doing. Okay. In any case, if you issue state of emergency, will the state of emergency stay for life? We will still come back. It will be lifted. When it is lifted, the same things that we are doing now would have to be done again. So I think that we are on course. Let's give the Security Council and the President the space, as he said, that as soon as the Security Council thinks that there's a need for declaration, he will do it. So let's continue with what is happening now, and let's see how the next 6 months update would be.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marcel. All the best.
Great. Okay. So you just had 2024 GJA presidential candidate. Let me wrap up with our lady from ASEPA, right? Yeah. So in all, if you are to do an assessment of the engagement with the CSOs and faith-based organizations, on a scale of 0 to 10, what will be your grading?
I'll grade 8.
8 out of 10?
Yeah, 8 out of 10. I'm very impressed with, the points highlighted from the Minister, Honorable Amabua, to the... I think where I wasn't slightly impressed was that of the Attorney General, because we've still not seen any enforcement yet, especially with the big wigs. Yeah. That is most of our concern.
But he said that they've arrested more than 1,000 people.
Mr. President,
he mentioned some big names also, the kingpins as well. He gave an update on prosecutions. Or you want more?
Yes. Okay. The example he cited was only that of Akonta mining. Okay. And then our president...
And some people from his own party.
Yes, but the president rightly stated that the 1,400 would be about the youth, those who are, on the ground doing the work. But we've actually not arrested any of the big wigs. Okay. So he only stated that of Akonta mining, who is slated for coming Tuesday and is expected to arrive in Accra on Monday. Yeah. And so we are looking forward to more of action.
More action?
More action towards the big wigs, and we'll be happy.
Thank you for talking to us. You're welcome. Okay, let me wrap up with these two gentlemen.
Small-scale mining.
Okay, let's talk to you. Come, please. What's your name, sir?
I'm Henry Ben Smith.
Henry Ben Smith. Okay, yes. Henry, please come. Yeah. Okay, come this way for me. You are? Henry Ben Smith,
an executive member of the Small Scale Miners Association.
Okay. And then you are?
My name is Nichuna Piabwedi, Director of Communication for the Federation of African Youth Development.
Okay. Let me talk to the Small Scale Miners Association first. What's your assessment of the engagement that we had today? President, CSOs,
It's pretty good because we're all looking at solutions, not banning. We believe in the solutions that we are coming up with in terms of interventions.
Okay.
And we're looking at working with the traditional authorities, because there's no illegal activity that can be carried out without an authorized and a traditional authority within a particular jurisdiction involvement, because there should be at all costs an involvement of a traditional authority who allows or who give a nod to somebody to go into their land to do an illegal activity. So we are coming up with interventions that we're going to work directly with the traditional authorities in curbing illegal mining activity. We don't believe in shooting and killing. We believe in solutions. The people need work to do, so we're going down the drain, inform the traditional authorities the negative aspect of the illegal activity, for them to also support aspects of geological investigations and doing the right responsible mining that we are all talking about. If you do it right, definitely you're going to cut down the environmental degradation that you're going to cause. But if you don't do it right, of course, then you're going to spoil the place. So we are saying that let's use the challenge to create opportunities rather than going to kill somebody who is an innocent person who doesn't understand what he's doing. Rather, we are going down the downstream, educate them, sensitize them on the negative aspect of that illegal activity, whilst we are absorbing them and formalizing them concurrently. Whilst we are enforcing the laws, concurrently, we should also open up job opportunities for these guys to get a job to do.
Okay.
So I believe it is an opportunity for us to think about technology in terms of geological investigations, in terms of trying to get the right things, the right equipment. People should start thinking about how you can create equipment that will be used in doing the right things in the country. It's an opportunity for us to think through. You understand? Yeah. It's not about, God has given the thing to us. We got to use it and use it to help our people whilst we protect our environment. So it's not a matter of spending money to go and kill somebody who doesn't know what he has to do. So we need to direct the people through sensitization, through traditional authorities, letting them understand that, look, let's go this direction. And if we do it and do it right, this is what is good. You guys are going to benefit. Yeah. So I think for me that is the way to go.
Finally, before you go, you don't believe in shooting to kill.
No,
illegal miners.
No.
Do you believe in the declaration of a state of emergency?
That is no-go area, because then you have to come up with a solution. That's why we are saying that we are going to where the illegal activities are being carried out and sensitize the traditional authorities and the communities as well. Okay. Once we educate them and sensitize them that, look, we are creating different opportunities for you guys here. So move from here. You want to work. Just move from here and go that way. If you fail to do that, then of course the laws enforcement will deal with you. But if your son is not doing well and you are not teaching your son what the right way to go, and you say, I'll kill you. Who has killed his son because the son has gone to do something wrong to that father? You will not do that. If you're a father, you're not going to do that. You need to rather give room and educate the person and direct the person where he should go and get the right job to do. And that's what we are in to do. And we are going to come up with training programs with the NIMOS to make sure the right things are being done.
Okay, great. So, finally, your assessment of this engagement on a scale of 0 to 10?
It's perfect.
10 over 10?
Let's say 9 over 10.
9 over 10.
Yeah, because it's going to be...
So 10 over 10 minus 1.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for talking
nice
to us. Nice meeting you too. Okay, great. Great. So let's speak to someone who represented the youth.
Yes.
Here. I want to start with your assessment, the engagement. What is the biggest takeaway for you?
I believe that this should continue. It shouldn't be one-off, because having an engagement like this, bringing the people who matter into one single room to talk about how we can engage in responsible mining is the best thing we can do to ourselves. Because looking at how we are destroying our water bodies and our forest reserve, we need to come together as one people to say that, okay, this is the solution. This is the way we must go. What was a standout for me was Colonel, Boa.
Okay, Colonel Boa.
NIMOS Boa. One thing he mentioned was that
no, he represented NIMOS.
Yeah. NIMOS, yes. He's coming after, or they are coming after those who are involved. And he made mention that they know for sure that there are big fishes in the water. So they are coming after the big fishes to ensure that the young boys and girls who are in the pits who just want their daily breads, who are doing so because they are trying to escape from poverty, they will not be free, so to speak, but they will go after their big fishes. And when they catch their big fishes, the solution to ending Galamsey will come. So for me, I think that is a good thing. If you ask me, I'll give the organizers 10 over 10 because you see...
10 over 10?
10 over 10. So because obviously...
Two perfect scores.
Perfect scores. So because if you see a government just 9 months in power and they are thinking about solving the problem that has befallen the country for so many years, then I believe that there is the political will to end Galamsey. So if the political will is there...
You think this government has demonstrated the political will to fight this menace?
Perfectly. You see,
Once and for all?
this particular engagement was not political. It's bipartisan. You see everybody in the industry, the small-scale miners, the media coalition against illegal mining, they were all here. We saw the GJA. We saw a lot of people who came from the CSOs. And the most important thing is that we'll get together and find solution. But I believe that, you see, the youth who are involved in this, there should be an avenue. That is why I support wholeheartedly the program that was organized in Obuasi, that unfortunate thing happened, where we are saying that when we end Galamsey, the young people who are earning the income, what would they do afterwards? So I believe that we must be able to educate the young people enough to know that destroying the water body and getting money from it, you are destroying your own self. But when you stop doing that and you earn a living through a proper way, from that way, you are helping to pay taxes, you are protecting the environment, and that will be the way to go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maxwell.
Okay, great. So, Faustina, that is it here at the banquet hall at the Jubilee House, where the high-level engagement between President Mahama and civil society organizations and faith-based organizations, took place. And now it has ended. A lot of people I've been interacting with are quite impressed with the progress we are making in terms of the fight against illegal mining. Indeed, in the president's speech, he mentioned that the media especially should be able to hold government's feet to the fire. He says that we should continue the advocacy against illegal mining, and that is what will keep his government on the toes, to deliver and help in the fight against illegal mining. Of course, he also talked about the resources needed to fight illegal mining. He talked about a bigger budget that would help so that our security personnel who are on the ground will be stationed in the forest around our water bodies to continue to protect them. And he gave the indication that in the next budget that will be read, obviously there will be more funds committed towards that particular goal. He also talked about technology and how his government intends to use technology to help in the fight against illegal mining and also to mitigate the effects, the pollution of our water bodies and the destruction of our forests, how they are hoping to use, how they are actually using technology to fight illegal mining. He also talked about reclamation efforts. He also talked about how government is tightening the laws, especially. That is already taking place now. If you want to import an excavator, you need an approval first before you can import that excavator. And he gave us a lot of details about what the government is doing in that regard. But like I mentioned earlier, the biggest takeaway for all the people here in the room was hearing the president speak directly to the calls for the imposition or for the declaration of a state of emergency. Ahead of this engagement, many were calling for the declaration of a state of emergency. That point was reiterated by the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference. But today, during this engagement, we heard some persons also disagreeing with the calls for the declaration of a state of emergency. Indeed, all the persons who I spoke to after this engagement are saying that we don't need a state of emergency at this point. And the president stated that if the National Security Council gives him that go-ahead or that recommendation that, yes, this is the time that we need the declaration of a state of emergency, he would not hesitate, but go ahead to do so.
Thank you so much, Max, for just giving us that wrap of everything that has transpired today at that media engagement, also the president engagement with the CSOs. Trust us, we will be holding the government feet to the fire. But participants raised concerns ranging from the involvement of politically exposed persons to calls for a state of emergency, strategies to clean polluted water bodies, and stricter enforcement of environmental laws. Well, we'll bring you the President's full address if you missed it here on the Pulse. But first, let's listen to the convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, who was at that meeting today. This is what he said.
We believe that there's some political will that you demonstrated, the ministers working. But the elephant in the room was not mentioned. You heard the Attorney General talk only about Akonta Mine. The Attorney General has referred some politically exposed persons to the Iyoko. We've not heard anything about that. There are some politically exposed persons that we, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, have petitioned you about. We've not heard anything about that. There are some chiefs that are complicit in it. So let me read just a short bit of what our ask is. Our ask is that given the unprecedented crisis and the fact that our demands are clear, we ask you, His Excellency, to clearly tell us in granular definition, your granular definition of success in the fight against Galamsey. Also share with us very definitive roadmap that would include key milestones and timelines and how we're going to get there. We believe that the work that has been done by EPA and all about the level of heavy metals in our water bodies, the turbidity that have gone above 98,000 NTUs, and my brother, the scientist, that report you shared with us, unfortunately, for all of us who are scientists, we know that this is not how you measure water quality.
Well, that's Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. Well, security consultant Colonel Festus Abwaji, however, described calls for a state of emergency as premature, arguing that the gravity of the situation must first be firmly established.
That the best general is the one who wins a war without firing any shot. Our position as CDT is that at this material time, it is a bit premature to declare a state of emergency because it entails political, socio-economic, and other security risks. So therefore, our main point within this 6-point framework is to identify the center of gravity of Galamsey. And that center of gravity is the use of industrial machinery. So therefore, the main effort, and I'm speaking in terms of military strategy, the main effort of the state, the government, against that center of gravity will be to eliminate the use of machinery, heavy machinery. If we can do this in timelines, the main effort of the state, the government, against that center of gravity will be to eliminate the use of machinery, heavy machinery. If we can do this in timelines, we would have reverted the issue of illegal mining to the days of Don Diego de Azambuja, when we were basically mining gold with basic implements. Once we do that, all other things will fall in line. But as I've said, our policy brief outlines the details of how we could go about this.
Well, the Environmental Protection Authority CEO, Nanama Brown-Kluche, revealed that the authority is acquiring new technology to treat the country's polluted water bodies.
Mention a number of activities and progress that we have made in the country. At the very early part, in the first 3-4 months, we were able to retrieve or get back our forests that were no-go areas for us. Last month, we also saw the repealing of the LI that permits mining in the forest area. So that's a good progress. We have done a number of engagements in the communities. In fact, the President sanctioned town hall meetings, which we are planning, and to start meetings on illegal mining in the communities. Today's event, Meet with the CSOs, is also on illegal mining activities in the country. We believe that the solution does not settle with one person or one institution, so we all have to bring our knowledge and ideas on board so we can deal with the situation that we are confronted with. I would say we have made a lot of progress. The President is very much concerned in doing that. The launch of the cooperative mining, it's also to help deal with the issues of illegal mining. So the small-scale miners who do not have permits to operate will now be forming or be part of the cooperative mining so they can all together we do it.
Excellency, what the EPA is in the process of acquiring, it's a technology that will help treat our water bodies while the water are in their position.
Well, the president of Imani Africa, Franklin Kuja, raised concerns about the financial resources required to sustainably address the menace. This is what he said when he took his turn before the president today.
Say that it looks as if we need more money, and I'm saying this for the simple reason that when I looked at last year's budget for fighting Galamsey, there's about 10 million Ghana cedis. You guys allocated almost 50 million Ghana cedis to fight Galamsey, and already we are seeing some results. Question I have, how much money do you really need to fix everything? We just want to know. And by the way, you have to be giving us updates as to how you use the money. So how much money do you really need? Because it looks to me 50 million is enough, and I'm seeing some results really, but we need more. Second question, is it official government policy to be deporting Chinese who are engaged in Galamsey? Right. Thank you.
Well, the Attorney General today took his turn before the CSOs, also touching on some of the key prosecutions they've made so far. And he also hinted some of the prosecution that will be coming up in coming days. So listen to him, we'll be back.
Now, in terms of prosecutions, the statistics that were given included 1,400 arrests. About 1,400 arrests. Now, the biggest problem we've had with the arrests is the 48 hours rule. Constitutional principle that we must bring them before the courts within 48 hours. Most of the judges have been granting them bail. So I remember the point that was made by Colonel Boa. When we arrested 9 people in Kumasi, he called me and I told him that immediately place them before the court and then ask for them to be detained so that we do our investigation. When they appeared before the court, Your Excellency, they were granted bail. Okay? Then they went back. He was very good in monitoring them. They went back into the forest. So I told him that even despite the fact that they've been granted bail, because they have gone back into the forest, they've committed a new offense. I asked him to arrest them, but to bring them to Accra, instead of placing them before a court in Kumasi. And I'm dealing with them now. They are in detention. We will not release them. We will make sure that even if the High Court says we should grant them bail, we'll go to Court of Appeal and go to the Supreme Court to ensure that we hold them until the dockets are prepared and then we send them to court. Currently, we have initiated prosecutions in 65 dockets. And Mr. President, there's a difference. When we say 65 dockets, it is not 65 individual persons who are being prosecuted. Some of them are more than 10. In fact, there is one case in the Western North. There are 28 minors that are involved in that prosecution. So the 65 dockets, by my calculation, contains about 600 persons that are illegal minors that are being prosecuted.
While other environmentalists posed tough questions directly to the president. Listen.
listening to your presentation today, especially from the Honorable Minister and our soldier from Nemos, we acknowledge that something good is happening. However, we, as you know us, will continue to be consistent voice of truth to your administration, just as we've done to many other administrations. So permit me to read a few lines to you. We'll be submitting ours to you also.
Please go ahead.
In the name of God, and on behalf of the good people of Ghana who voted for you, we urge you, Your Excellency, to provide the following: clear benchmarks that will trigger a state of emergency, visible prosecution of kingpins, including those named in official reports, the establishment of promised fast-track courts, measurable performance indicators for local authorities and security services, protection for communities and traditional leaders who resist Galamsey, alongside accountability for those complicit. Your Excellency, credibility is now as important as policy. Our people must see that no one is above the law and that economic expediency cannot outweigh the sacred right to clean water, safe food, and a healthy environment. We are with you in this fight, and so we beg of you and we urge you to act with courage and moral clarity. Delay is to raise complicity in what is fast becoming an ecocidal tragedy of monumental proportions. Our house is on fire. Let us put it out. Thank you.
As a matter of fairness, let's acknowledge the progress made so far. Until this day, I didn't know we had made such progress. And I must admit that that is for the good of this fight. And so we will continue to stress on the matter of continuous engagement and also update, as requested by my brother here, the Reverend Minister, that how do we tell the story? Because these are all stories which are not out there. We, as part of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, have been calling for the state of emergency. But having heard and followed the presentation today, I'm tempted to believe that we are on the right path.
Your Excellency, we, the Association of Small-Scale Miners, have hope. We know the issue of illegal mining is not an event, but it's a process. So we are going to work with NIMOS to ensure that we attain the extraordinary, that is, ensuring that our water bodies gain the stability levels that we all want to see. The establishment of the Gold Board, as one of the example, is that whilst we are able to, formalize the downstream, which is the trading aspect of the small-scale mining sector, and we are seeing the gains in terms of gold production, which we've not seen in this country before. Every month we are getting close to 2 tons of gold. And if you look at economic benefits, you know that the industry is something that we cannot say is not contributing to the socio-economic gains of the country. The issue of Galamsey, one of the areas is the importation. We've seen excavators being tracked and all that. I want to ask the minister what he's doing about the importation of chamfans. Because now that you don't have the excavators, even the chamfans, the havoc that they can cause with the use of what we call one leg, and then small China, and all that, they can do a lot of havoc, even more than the excavators. So we propose that there should be some sort of restriction so that those who have licenses will have access to it instead of it being imported by everyone. Because research that we've done, it comes in thousands.
I'm here because of Honorable Muntaka. He has passed a policy that whenever these foreigners who are criminals are arrested, we are supposed to deport them. Your Excellency, you all remember that I asked a similar question back in 2019, Mr. Osafo-Maafo, and then it became a political capital for NDC. Why are we repeating the same thing? If we can arrest Chinese guys who are the key Galamseyers in this country, and we just deport them without enforcing them to reclaim our lands and restore our water bodies, then what is the fight about?
Well, the president answered all their questions and reiterated his commitment, citing modest gains in the early months of his administration and announcing new commitment to dealing with the canker.
Send troops and station them permanently to guard the forest reserves. We must feed them, we must provide them with fuel, we must give them vehicles and all the logistics they need to be able to do that. And so that links up with Franklin's question about budget. We need a substantially bigger budget than we have currently to be able to win this war. Happily, budget hearings have started. The budget for next year is going to be presented to Parliament. And my expectation is that the Minister of Finance will give a much bigger allocation to this fight against Galamsey. We also need enough troops. Our troops are stretched. We have so many chieftaincy disputes all over the country, land disputes. And so you go to Sampa, we have troops there. You go to Gonjaland, Savannah, there are troops there. You go to Boko, there are troops there. You go to Nkwanta, our troops are there. And then our troops are also on the border to protect us from terrorism. And so they are spread thin. If we take another batch of them and go and put them in the forest, it means that we are committing most of our troops to other things other than crime prevention and keeping us safe. And so that's why NIMOS is a combination of the police and the army. So all of them contribute troops. And then we also have national security also contributing and all the other agencies. But happily we have some additional troops coming with the winding down of some of the peacekeeping theaters. And so when they come, as many of them as possible, we'll add them to the force so that we're able to dominate all the anti-Galamsey sites and be able to win the battle. As he said, we have targeted 7 major zones in the regions, and the army have come up with a proper strategy. NIMOS has come up with a proper strategy for engaging the illegal miners and making sure that we clear them from especially the forest reserves and the water bodies. One of the important successes is the change in the whole issue of excavators. Excavators came in huge quantities, and I remember that at a point under the previous administration, they asked that permits be gotten before excavators are imported. Meanwhile, the law did not say you should get a permit after, but that was what we came to meet, that you bring the excavator, then you go to the Ministry of Transport and ask for a permit. But the law actually says that you must get a permit before you import the excavator. And so now we're enforcing that law. And so you can't bring an excavator in, you can't put it on a ship, and we're telling the shipping agencies, if you bring an excavator for which there's no permit, we shall penalize you, the shipping agency, for carrying that excavator here to Ghana. In the meantime, we came to meet a huge quantity of excavators in the port. And that is what the lands minister was explaining to you, that we had to decongest the ports because there was no more space for anything. And so we've moved them to the military space at the Shire Hills and other locations, and we've corralled them there. One of the successes too is the registration of excavators. Even though the law requires excavators to be registered, nobody was registering their excavator. And so
if you look at the DVLA records, there was no registration of excavators. And so anybody could bring in an excavator and take it straight into the forest. Today, we are requiring that every excavator must be registered with the owner of the excavator known. And once that is done, like he said, we started putting trackers on the excavator so that we know exactly where they are going to. It's not only illegal miners who use excavators, contractors working on our roads, quarries and others all use excavators. And so it's impossible to just put a complete ban on excavators, but we must know where that excavator is. If we find the excavator in a forest reserve or engaged in illegal mining. And so that's one of the advances that we have made. We started a geofencing policy where it makes it possible for us to know where every excavator is, so that if the excavator moves after where it was geofenced, then we can go and find out where did this excavator go and what is it doing where it has gone. And so that would help us. With regards to turbidity of the water, as the scientist said, it's just about, you can see physically with your eyes, you know, what the turbidity of the water is. The thicker brown it is, the more coffee-like it is, the more polluted it is. The less it is, the less polluted it is. And so, like he said, we are scoring a few successes, especially on the Ankobra. I believe the minister chose the Ankobra to start because it flows through his constituency. And so there are some successes, but like he said, we still have the Pra, we have the Densu, we have the Birim, you know, we have the Ofin and all of them. But that means that we must get more manpower. The Blue Water Guards have started work, and a lot of them are deployed on the Ankobra River. So far, we've recruited 1,000 of them. We pay them an allowance of, if you take away deductions and other taxes, of about 1,500 cedis a month. And so if we have 1,000 of them, and we pay about 1,500 a month, it means for a year, you're talking about roughly 18 million cedis. And that's for 1,000 of them. And so if we scale up, then it means that we need more money to employ more of them. But I endorse it because it gives them an alternative source of income. Because as they are fighting the pollution of our water bodies, they are also earning an income as a kind of alternative livelihood. And so that is something that we'll have to scale up. And so the Minister of Finance in doing the budget must make extra provision. We also have to start reclamation, because it's not enough to just stop them and drive them away and leave the land scarred the way it is. And so there are a few companies that have worked with the United Nations, and they have come up with some trees that help to regenerate the soil and can also take out toxins from the soil. If you've heard about the green Sahelian wall that the United Nations was sponsoring, some of the companies involved there have also come and tried those crops in areas that we want to reclaim. And they say that the tests are positive and they can work with us. But of course, we need to use these bulldozers and things we have recovered to level out the land before these vegetative, organisms are put in the land to be able to reclaim the land. So reclamation is one of the areas that we must look to. Happily, we should be able to get some support from green climate funds and a lot of these green funds to assist us in reclamation. But we must put our resources in first. The menace of illegal mining, and I've been trying to find out about best practice, and I found out that apparently we are not the only ones suffering. the high gold price is pushing a lot of people into gold, especially gold.
Well, that's just excerpts of the president's delivery today. Just to run you by some of the key things that he said with regards to the calls for a declaration of a state of emergency. The president said that indeed, though he has the power to do so, he's acting on the advice of the national security. And he believes that their response to this is what he's working with. And according to him, he says that the council believes that the fight can be won without a declaration of a state of emergency. We just heard from some CSOs after that engagement, sort of shifting their stance when it comes to the declaration of state of emergency. Some of them are quite pleased with government efforts so far to deal with the menace. But let me bring in John Darko, his vice chairperson of the Environment and Science and Technology Committee in Parliament. We appreciate your time here on the Pulse. I'm sure you've watched this engagement. I'll start with your initial reaction.
Yeah, thank you very much. If I didn't know the president, if I had just come from the space into this country, listening to what happened at the Jubilee House today, I would think that here are some great minds put together to solve Galamsey. Here are the leaders of the country fighting Galamsey. But fortunately for me, I've been in this country and I know the president, I know his ministers. I've listened to the president several times, and it's just start to realize that the president has engaged in another talk shop that will not end us anywhere. We know what the president said when he was in opposition, when he and all his ministers, including the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, when they were campaigning, how vociferous they spoke against the illegal mining and how they rallied the whole country to, as it were, push the then government to declare state of emergency. Some of the CSOs who are sitting there, I listened to Mr. Franklin. I was surprised. He said that he's in progress and that it's okay that there's no state of emergency. They were the ones pushing for state of emergency, and they said they've seen progress. I'm shocked because we all live in this country. We've seen the color of the water. We've seen the forests being pulled down. We've seen all the recently, just on Joy, you've seen what is happening in President's own backyard, Bolly. And so when they say that they've made progress, I'm surprised.
But the president tabled some of the key things they've done, which made the CSOs take that stance. He spoke about the interventions they've made with NIMAS, ensuring security personnel are deployed to protect our river bodies and also our forest reserves. He spoke about the controversial LI, which your administration, by the way, failed to repeal. He's telling us now that that LI will be repealed, although they'll be introducing a new bill. And he also spoke about some of the key interventions to ensure that the turbidity levels in our water is actually dealt with. And this CSOs, they made the new stance based on the report given to them by the president. You don't agree?
So the CSOs have never known that the LI 2462 is still in the books, and that they promised to repeal it, and that they've never repealed it, and that it's been now since they came into government, and that they've used the emergency processes in Parliament to pass all the laws they want to pass in this country, including the Good Board Act. Didn't the CSOs know when the president came to the Parliament, used the emergency process to repeal the betting tax? Didn't they know? And so I'm surprised. That's why I'm saying that if I had just come from space, I would say that here are some men trying to fight Galamsey. But we've been all here. We've seen what is happening. What is going on right now is nothing from what we've always known. So I'm surprised. When you say that you've seen progress, the progress should come when the color of the water changes. When they're talking about the LI2462, if there's LI2462 and you are not giving mining license, the law just sits in the book. All right? I am saying that we have to go beyond the rhetoric, the fact that we are putting laws together, the fact that we are going to repeal this law. The fight is right here and now. Let's go ahead and fight and stop talking about we are putting laws together. It's been 9 months. If they really wanted to repeal this law and bring new one, they would have brought it. And so, like I said, I'm surprised that some of our friends in the industry, the CSOs, believe that there's progress. When indeed the situation has worsened. Go and ask my friends in Central Region, those who depend on the Konyako Waterworks, whether there has been a progress in the fight against Galamsey. Go and ask my friends in the Western North, those who don't get water to drink, whether there has been progress in the fight against Galamsey. Come to my region, come to Ashanti region, come to Eastern region, see how people are suffering, and tell me that there's progress in the fight against Galamsey. There will be no progress unless the color of the water changes. There will be no progress unless our forest is restored. So far, we haven't seen anything. And as I said, right at the back of the present hometown, Bole Bamboy, there are machines, on rivers, and they are destroying the water bodies. Hasn't the president said, do we need the repeal of the LI2462 to fight those people? No, the LI2462 just is about mining in the forest reserve. How about those who are in the water bodies? That's what I'm saying. The president hometown, Bole Bamboy.
The water bodies, the president, and so far they have deployed the blue water guards. And we just heard from Naimus tell us that so far their work with the blue water guard have been effective. Why are you smiling and nodding your head? You disagree, really?
No, but I think that is the weakest point of the fight against Galamsey. There's some blue water guards. Have we seen them? They are telling you that the people are working. I am saying that if the people are working, we should see the effect. The effect should reflect the Konyako water.
The DCE of Bole, the DCE for Bole actually told us that he was working together with the Blue Water Guards to get tip-offs as to some of the illegal mining activities around the Black Volta. So, and today we've also seen Naimus tell us some of the work the Blue Water Guard they've been doing. They're to act as spies for the security services.
I think that we are just a joke. See, you mentioned the establishment of NIMO as one of the reasons why the CSOs think that the president is doing well. Didn't the former administration have Operation Vanguard? Didn't they set up all these institutions? Why didn't they say that because the president has set up those offices, the fight against Galamsey was being won? I think that they just went there to sing the praise of the president. I'm sorry. The president is a very nice man. He's a very nice person. When you talk to him, you think that he's fighting all the Galamsey. But the real issue is on the ground there. How can you tell me that some blue water guards are the people saving us? Have you seen, my dear? Have you seen any blue water guard working in any part of the forest reserve or in any of our mining areas? They are giving some people money. Nobody knows them. And look, do you need this to fight? Say, you need to go out there. If you are using the military, if you are using the police, not blue water guard. If the military and police cannot fight Galamsey, how much more some young men, some 19, 18-year-old young men and women, can they fight Galamsey?
But they're working in collaboration. Today we heard from Naimus' boss just tell us some of the key intervention. They're working together with the police, the military, and other key security agencies like the National Security to ensure that they protect our water bodies. And then we just heard from the president tell us that our troops are stretched. And he actually assured that because of the pockets of chieftaincy disputes, we've had to deploy some of these troops and also to our borders. But then he assured us that right now with the winding down of peacekeeping missions, more troops will be coming into the country. You feel that's also not a good initiative?
See, so as if the chieftaincy issue just started this year. It's always been there. So when the president last year was asking the former administration to declare a state of emergency, he's been president before. At least he was president for 4 years. Didn't he know that we had chieftaincy conflicts in the country and that the our military had been stretched? Listen, what we are facing, is a threat to the sovereignty of this nation. The purpose of the military is to defend the territorial integrity of our country. What is happening? What is happening to our communities, the mining communities, is worse than declaration of war by a foreign army. I'm telling you. And in fact, it will amaze you to know that a lot of the people, maybe about 30 to 40% of the people who are engaging in the Galamsey are not even Ghanaians. Some of them are from Togo, Burkina, Ivory Coast, and they are doing this. It's worse than declaration of war by a foreign army against our country. We need our military to step up, go out there and fight them. Now, the president, for you to do that, you are telling us that there are pockets of chieftaincy troubles in the country, so you cannot use the military. In 2024, when he said that the then administration should declare state of emergency, didn't we have all these these chieftaincy issues in the country? So it tells you that, unfortunately, I don't want to say this. I respect my president very well, but it looks like he is singing from both sides of his mouth. The president is not being honest with the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana voted for him partly because of the issue of Galamsey. The previous administration did its part, it didn't succeed, and a lot of Ghanaians voted for him to come and protect the water bodies because he has promised so much. And now we come to 2025.
Do you now agree, now that you are in opposition, do you now agree that there's a need for a declaration of a state of emergency?
Absolutely, there's no doubt. Look, what is happening now is that the situation has gotten worse. Look, the report that we've all seen shows that the turbidity level of the water bodies last year was 14,000. This year, within a year, it's come to 90,000. So look at the difference. Turbidity level, of course, I understand that at 14,000, it was bad. But now at 90,000, it's worse. And so, more than ever, we need a declaration of state of emergency. It is only those who sing the praise of the president. It's only those who are in NDC. It's only those who want to be in the good books of the president who are singing his praise and saying that there's no need to declare state of emergency. But you see, I listened to the president and I said, my president, why are you doing this yourself? President says that he's waiting for national security to give him clearance before he declares state of emergency. And I'm asking myself, what happened to Attorney General and the lawyers around him? Hasn't he seen Article 31 of the Constitution that empowers him as a president to declare state of emergency, acting in accordance with the Council of State? Why is he talking about national security?
Well, to quote him verbatim, so that we do not misquote him, he said, yes, I have the power, but I act on advice from the National Security Council, and the Council believes we can win the fight without the declaration of a state of emergency. And he goes on to state that once they advise, I will not hesitate.
The president is deceiving us. You see the way our president puts it. Yes, I have the power, but I'm acting in accordance or on advice of national security. No, you are the president. You are the people. You are the person the people of Ghana voted for. The Constitution empowers you. You are not bound by the advice of anybody. You should look at the Supreme Court interpretation of advice by Council of State and all these advisory bodies. The president is not bound by the advice, of course, except in some specific cases where the constitutional provision is clear. The president has the power to declare state of emergency. Indeed, if you look at Article 31, 32, and 33, the Constitution, or the framers of the Constitution, were looking at a situation where it will be so, it will be an emergency situation. The president will have to declare state of emergency and then come to Parliament for Parliament to, as it were, give the president more power to do it. Now, we know it is not something you don't know. And Article 31, the way it is framed, it looks like as if something you don't know that was sprung on you. So you declare state of emergency, and then you come to Parliament for Parliament to give you more approval. But this situation, we all know, Mr. President, we know the dangers Galamsey is causing our country. We know the dangers. In fact, it's gotten worse to the extent that it's no longer just our country. It's become a transboundary issue. Our Galamsey is even going all the way to Ivory Coast. It's become such an international issue. You do not want to wait on the advice of your national security before you declare state of emergency. The president has the power. So you see, the way he puts it, I have the power, but I'm waiting on advice. It's as if his power, there's some clawback, as if his power is restrained by the advice of the national security. His power is not constrained by the advice of national security. He doesn't have to wait for the advice. And then, even if the national security says he should declare state of emergency, the power still resides in him to say no. You understand? It's an executive president who voted for him with so much power. So even without the national security, the president can go ahead and declare state of emergency. So I'm sorry, it looks like the president, for want of a better word, is deceiving us by saying that he is waiting on the advice of national security. That is not the law. That is not the procedure. The president has the power. He doesn't need to wait for anybody. Once the president sees the dangers, once the president recognizes the fact that Konyaku Water Works cannot produce water, once the president sees the dangers the Galamsey is causing, in fact, if the president acknowledges the fact that people are giving birth to kids with so much defect, if the president sees that as a national security issue, the president should declare state of emergency. It looks like the president doesn't see the birth defect as national security issue. It looks like the president doesn't see the destruction of our water body as national security issue. The fact that right now our water works cannot even get water to be processed, the president said these are no national security matters and that he will not declare state of emergency. Mr. President, I'm sorry. We've gotten to the point where you need to respect your contract with the people of Ghana, because you stole this contract with the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana purchased this contract, voted for you, and then you are walking away from the contract we signed with the people of Ghana. The end is, in their social contract, said within 120 days, they will declare state of emergency. And then we are in the night.
We don't have that in their social contracts, though. But then, Mr. Darko, how do you respond? How do you respond to critics who say that the NPP had 8 solid years to deal with the canker of illegal mining? You could have declared a state of emergency. You also failed to do same. How do you respond to critics?
9 months after the president has been given power, I'm still talking about NPP. Really? The water bodies. I told you the technicity level.
Mr. Darko, I asked you a question about critics. And they're bashing the NPP for failing to also declare state of emergency. You had 8 years in power. You had a president that put his presidency on the line. He failed to declare state of emergency.
I told you that the stability level of our water bodies has moved from 14,000 to 90,000. You don't think that there's a difference? I believe that the people of Ghana, the people of Konyaku, who now don't have water in their facility, will tell you that the thing has gotten worse. And that now more than ever, we need to declare state of emergency. NPP was voted out of power 9 months ago. I don't think that I'm ready to relitigate the issues that were raised. It's the president, our president, Mr. John Dramani, who last said that all state of emergency should be declared. He should be held accountable. Why he's not declaring state of emergency? When they came, they were in the hurry to pass the Gold Board Act, the now Galamsey Board Act, so that they can get all the gold in the country. They passed the Galamsey Board Act within a record time. It came to the House on the same day it was passed. If the president had the same desire to fight Galamsey, he would have repealed the LI 2472 and declared state of emergency. But he didn't. He wanted money. He wanted money for his people. And so they passed the Galamsey Board Act within a record time. The same day it came to the House, it was passed. It shows the commitment he has towards protecting the environment, and then the commitment he has towards making money. The president is exchanging the lives of Ghanaians for gold and money. Now he no longer cares about the well-being of Ghanaians, the people who are giving birth to kids with a lot of defects. The president doesn't care about that anymore because he's making money. The president doesn't care about the poison the people of Ghana are drinking. We voted for him to stop that. The president doesn't care about that anymore. This is what we should be talking about. The NPP was voted out of power 9 months ago. It's past time. Let's look at what the government is doing now. Because look, as a political party, the NPP is in opposition. What can we do? We cannot do much. It is you, the people of Ghana. It is you, the media, who hold the president to his promise to the people of Ghana to declare state of emergency, ensure that this fight against Galamsey is won. But as it is right now, when the president surrounds himself with people who only sing his praise, I'm afraid that we are not going to.
Well, the president said that he's depending on us, the media, to hold his feet to the fire, and that's what exactly we're doing here on the JoyNews channel. Thank you so much, Mr. John Darko, for your time here on The Pulse. I have joined in the conversation now Haruna Mohammed, he's Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. I also have with me Mustafa Gbande, the Deputy General Secretary for the NDC. But just before we go to them, some of you have been, talking about this on all our social media platforms. And we thought it wise to just bring some of the comments out. On your screens now is a comment from Mr. Joe, and he says, at least this government is making an effort towards ending Galamsey, unlike Yanum people who declared that they will never stop Galamsey today, they will never stop it tomorrow. I don't know who he is referring to there, but that's one of the comments coming from Mr. Joe on our social media handle. You can also share your comments with us as well. From Kingsley, he says, these long periods of damaging our lands and water bodies cannot be restored within these short time of 9 months. Why are we talking as though some magic can be performed to restore these water bodies to their original state? So more comments coming through. We'll try, because we have a lot of conversations to do here on the post, we'll try to bring your comments every now and then, but just do well to go on all our social media handles. We're JoyNews on TV, and drop your comments there. We're putting it live on air here on the post. Let me bring in Mustafa Gbande and Haruna Mohammed. I'll start with your initial reaction. Mustafa, I know that you're already on the grounds. My team tells me that you are currently on the grounds trying to deal with the illegal mining canker. I'll start with your initial reaction. We've just been hearing from CSOs after that engagement with the president. Give us some sort of hope. They're now optimistic that Ghana can win the fight against illegal mining. Your thoughts?
Thank you very much, and I think that, let me say good afternoon to my brother. First of all, I am excited that for the first time in our collective quest to fight illegal mining, to save our water bodies, forest reserves, and protection of life, a president of the Republic, the first president of the Republic, have summoned respected civil society organizations, clergy, individuals, journalists, so that collectively we can account the progress that we are making as a people, and also correcting the mistakes, the error, the challenges that we encounter as we continue to reasonably fight these situations that confront all of us as a society. As we speak, some of us are in the bushes and in the villages working together with the regional ministers, working together with our political actors to ensure that the orders of the president are executed and executed to the letter, without anybody standing in between and using political power and influence to subvert what the president is championing on behalf of the people of Ghana.
And where are you currently?
Clearly, we have seen where we have gotten to and where we started from. I listened to my colleague and friend who just finished talking, and I was very sad for this country. If we have people who, in the quest to propagate mischief, behave as if they do not have memory, then of course we tend to question their credibility. We have been in this country. The MPP have been in power for 8 years. Let them come on air and say that when we were in power in the last 8 years, we did A, B, C, D. Under the regime of President Akufo-Addo was the regime that worsened the destruction of water bodies and our forest reserves through the issuance of over 2,000 unregulated, unmonitored, unsupervised, small-scale, medium-scale mining activities. And tell me this, and let me tell you, the people behind were uncontrollable because
The Jubilee House, where President Akufo-Addo used to sit, the same place is where President Mahama is sitting today, fighting everybody to ensure that the will of the people of Ghana come to pass. President Akufo-Addo was sitting there, but the Jubilee House was where Galamsey was planned, executed, and people were benefiting.
Allegations
the
we
same
cannot prove,
president
Mustafa.
was the one who signed off an ally allowing people to go and mine in the forest reserve without any responsibility of repair and reclaim. Under the same president, a minister appointed by the president indicted the presidency and persons around the president who compromised the fight against illegal mining. Today, that is not our story. Our story is that there have been massive public education. Our story is that the military, the police, civil society, journalists are all involved for us to collectively fight this. You can't be a witch and be a soothsayer at the same time. So what is the position of the MPP? That as we collectively are busy trying to fight a situation as a country, the MPP is seeking to exploit political gains out of this issue. But you see, when we go to the scale of people who have destroyed our water bodies, and let the MPP wait, when the legal regime is put in place, and we begin to pursue all the persons who have mined in this forest reserve and water bodies, including their ministers who are involved, the MPP should not cry foul. Because you see, responsibility will come to bear. So when I listen to somebody like Dondako, who speaks as if he came from India into this country just 2025, I feel very sad. We have an MP of the MPP who said they were never going to ban illegal mining because they thought it would benefit them politically. But you see, when you are bad, you are bad. They knew that even at the grassroots level, the ordinary Ghanaian was not involved in it. It was they and the Chinese people who were doing it. Today we are arresting some of them. President Mahama has made it very clear that it doesn't matter your relationship with him. It doesn't matter your position in government. It doesn't matter your position in his party. If you get involved in what we call illegal mining, the laws should deal with you. If President Akufo-Addo did 10% of that, we would have been talking about something else. But let me give you the assurance. By the time we are done with the Galamsey conversation, the MPP would have been registering a new political party because they will be the victims. Their entire party and all the persons who fueled the rate at which our water bodies and forest reserves were destroyed, they will be the ones crying, not anybody, any other person.
Mustafa, just clarify for me, where are you exactly as we speak?
We have finished Western region, we have finished Ashanti region, we are headed to Eastern region, and we'll continue from there to other parts of the country, engaging with our party people, engaging with DCs, engaging with regional ministers to take responsibility of monitoring the disturbance, the activities on any mining concession, taking stock of persons who are leading the faces that, you see, the problem is that when they go to site, they often get to arrest these mining workers, and then the real big characters will disappear. So we are putting a scheme that will make sure we unravel the kingpins themselves. So when we arrest, say, a Chinese person or an ordinary person on your site, we will look for the face behind the mining. That is what we are trying to do to ensure that our water bodies collectively, as a vision of His Excellency the President, and as his orders have been given, we are able to achieve it. Now, I've heard him talk about state of emergency, state of emergency. State of emergency is not a political statement. It's a legal and a security term. If you are ignorant, you are ignorant. If you don't understand what it means, you should shut up and tell John Daku to stop talking about state of emergency because he doesn't understand what it means. What we are doing today, where the president in the last few months have held institutions of state from the IGP to the Minister for Defense to Minister for Science and Environment, i.e. EPA, Minerals Commission, even the local government structures, ensuring that everybody is fighting illegal mining. I think that today's conference and dialogue confirms that our systems are active and potent enough to be able to fight this canker. Even the participation of the clergy, participation of the media, participation of civil society organizations shows that our systems, in terms of even public education, to fight this canker are still very active and strong. The conscience of the systems are very active, such that we will win the fight against illegal mining, and we just need time to see that happen.
Okay, Mustafa, stay with me. Let me bring in Haruna Mohammed, who is Deputy General Secretary for the NPP. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. You have also watched the engagement with CSOs. What's the NPP's analysis and assessment of today's engagement?
Firstly, thank you very much. I will say good afternoon to my brother, Mustafa Bandi, who is Deputy for why that I am very surprised that brother is speaking.
Haruna, so there's a challenge with your network. You have to position rightly. When you start speaking, we can hear you clearly, but then we tend to lose you intermittently. So please position rightly and then make your point. Loud and clear now, I can hear you. Yes, I can.
Yes. I'm saying that I'm very surprised that Mustafa is speaking on the issue of Galamsey. I'm surprised because this is an individual who has said that they are a government and they are over all acts and nothing wrong to engage in mining or gas. This is who is a very good friend to the national organizer of the NDC, who has been publicly accused of engaging and referred to Iyoko to be assessed. This is an executive who comes from a party where the vice chairman of the NDC, who has been in this particular situation. Show peace. They are with MP. We all know what they are doing. They are slapping each other in the community here and there at the Galamsey side. And all of them are NDC people. I am happy I am speaking on multimedia. Very happy. Why? Because Erasmus is coming from multimedia. Go and check his report with regards to party activities, party people in NDC in the state of 9 months, what they are doing in Galamsey.
Well, today, the Attorney General told us that he's yet to receive Iyoko's investigative report on the alleged involvement of the national organizer for the NDC, Joseph Yamin, and then the third vice chairman of the party, who is Yakubu Abanga.
You have been receiving report from Erasmus, and you have been receiving. And you've heard him speak about party people, NDC people, who are engaged in Galamsey activities. This is what we're talking about. The president, brother, who has been wheeled with mining activities in this country. All of us, you know what is happening. So look, the government of the NDC, the presidency headed by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, they are complicit in these Galamsey activities and they cannot fight it. You see, the activity of CSOs to discuss this Galamsey action is a mark of dishonesty. It's a mark of unpreparedness of the NDC government to deal with it. 10 districts should not get water to drink. When we say something is at its worst, tells you that there is some effect at the end of it, and the effect is that 10 districts in the central region cannot get water to drink. Those 10 districts were getting water to drink under us. So you cannot say that you are doing anything about Galamsey. You see, he's talking about an action. What has the NPP done? And when you ask him, he said that the security people are there, the police are working, the military are working, they are in the field, and media are helping. Yourself, since when has Erasmus started fighting or reporting on Galamsey? which of the media houses was stopped under the NPP from reporting on Galamsey? Was the security, the police, and the military, were they sleeping in their houses? They were working. They are not doing anything different from what the NPP did. They are only worsening the activities of the Galamsey activities because they have politicized the entire activity of Galamsey. And now, districts cannot get water to drink. Water is bad. It is turned into fat. You cannot even package. You cannot even treat. That tells you that it needs a state of emergency.
So the NPP now agrees that there's a need for a declaration of a state of emergency?
Because certain activities have happened. Water is life. You cannot drink water. And these were people who were talking to us with all that was being done. Because of the dishonesty of the candidate, the NDC, and now president, who was on the neck of the then president, that he should call for a state of emergency, knowing very well that he has to listen to the national security, he has to listen to the security institutions before he acts. He was telling him that they can do it. Mustafa here, they were all running down, ranting all over the media houses and saying that state of emergency can be declared within 24 hours. They have been in government for 9 months. They are now appropriating and reprobating. It's other people, city people, people who cannot do their work, people who cannot fight what they promise, people who would not do what they say they can do. You see, the CSOs have been there. You have wasted the time of the CSOs. You have wasted their time. You met them, you discussed with them. They told you their position. They told us about their position. Why can't you do it when you agreed with them? Now you got power, you want to do different things. That is dishonesty. My brother, just agree and apologize to the people of Ghana. You have failed everybody. You have failed the fight of Galamsey. Look, they go into the field today. You are asking him where he is. He will be thinking about the DMs he's going to collect. It's not about fighting Galamsey. It's about them going to identify the areas, to know the areas, and assign them to the people of NDC to mine and spoil the water bodies in our country and to deteriorate it to the part states. That is exactly what they are doing in the field.
Haruna, we just heard from the Attorney General also hint us that he would be arraigning Chairman Wontumi shortly, and also 5 other individuals. In fact, they tell us that they have over 60 dockets which they'll be working with. And this must be of concern to the NPP. How do you react to it that your Ashanti Regional Chairman will soon be arraigned on illegal mining charges?
I think that the Attorney General should have been arraigning the President in this particular circumstance, not Chairman Wontumi. And the last time I checked, Chairman Wontumi holds a valid license in mining activities. The last time we went to the CID headquarters, Chairman Wontumi proved and make sure that the allegations that were put against him, he was able to provide documentations to that. So if there's anybody to appear before court now under the directive of the Attorney General, then it's the President, because it's changing the lives of people for money. And that is what we should be fighting for. So it is not news, because Chairman Wontumi is not a Galamseyer. Licensed miner who has stopped mining for some time now and is ready to answer the question that will be before him.
So as a political party, you're unmoved?
As a political party, Chairman Wontumi is not a Galamseyer. Chairman Wontumi is a citizen miner who engages in responsible mining. So if there is something that they want against him, Chairman Wontumi will come and explain himself. So it's not a news. What is news today is that there are 10 districts that cannot get water to drink. Galamsey has wetted the state of this country. They are buying gold from Galamseyers, and they are exchanging our lives for money. That is what is important now. That is what we are discussing. Arranging Chairman Wontumi before court is not a news. It is just part of the legal system. And Chairman Wontumi will go and answer for himself, because I know him is a law-abiding citizen of Ghana.
Thank you so much, Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary for the NPP. Earlier, I spoke to Mustafa Bande, the Deputy General Secretary for the NDC. We also spoke to the Vice Chair of the Parliament's Lands Committee in Parliament, John Darko, Environment Committee in Parliament, just sharing their thoughts. And you can also share your thoughts with us. We're still the Pulse. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay tuned in. Well, thank you so much for your time and your company here on The Pulse. Unfortunately, we have to go. Yes, it's been a great week. I've enjoyed your company. I hope you've enjoyed mine as well. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs. My name is Faustina Safo. Good afternoon.